This demonstration is to show the capabilities of the newly developed QlikView connector for Informatica PowerCenter. QVX files can be generated from within the Informatica PowerCenter tools using the new connectivity product. Here I can see I've installed the plugin on both the client side, in this case the Informatica PowerCenter Designer, and also the server side. At the bottom I can see the plugin has been registered and all of the capabilities are now available to the PowerCenter Designer to be able to produce QVX files from within the PowerCenter tool. On the left hand side I've got a series of tables within the PowerCenter Designer that I'm allowed to interact with in my Informatica driven data warehouse. In this example I'm going to create a simple QVX file from the employees table within the data warehouse. In reality we would use the QVX generation in a more complex environment, such as the consolidation of multiple different data sources and data storage areas using the ETL functionality of Informatica PowerCenter Designer. Here we're just going to take the employees for a simple demonstration. If I go into the Target Designer and onto the Targets toolbar, I can see we've got a new option available to us: Create QlikView Target. I select that and I go into the sources and I can select from the tables that are available to me within the data warehouse that Informatica is connected to. In this case I'm going to select the employees table and add all the fields across. I'm going to give the target a name, so QVX employees in this case, and click on Create. And this will create a new target for us within the Target Designer screen. I'm only interested in taking a few fields into the QVX file, so I get the option to edit the fields that I take. So within Edit Tables, I am only interested in the first 4 columns, so I can remove any other column from the target simply by highlighting them and cutting them out. Click on OK, and our target is ready for consumption within an Informatica mapping. I now go into my Mapping Designer, which is where we're going to configure the data sources and the target that we've just created. So I'm interested in taking the employees table. I shall give it a name for the mapping. This will be the QVX employee map. And you can see it's pulled in the source that I selected. Now I need a target to write this data to. In this case this is going to be a QVX file from the connector product. So I simply pick up my target and add it to the mapping. And we can see here only a few fields will be taken across, which is the specification we put in our target design. I can now get Informatica to automatically map the columns using AutoLink, and in this case we'll AutoLink by name. I click on OK and my mapping is complete. I can now save this to the Informatica repository and we're ready to start building workflows, tasks to run the QVX generation job. I can now go into the Informatica PowerCenter Workflow Manager, and the first thing we need to do is create a task in the task developer, which is effectively going to run the job on the Informatica server. So within my tasks I need to create a task, and this is going to be a session, and I need to give it a name, so this will be the QVX session. I click on Create and we get a list of options to associate with that session, and here is the mapping we generated earlier. So I can click OK and this session will be associated to the mapping we created within the PowerCenter Designer. I can now go in and configure this session. In the Mapping tab I can see my sources and also my target, and here we can select a range of options of where the QVX file will be located and whether or not we'd like to append a timestamp. So we'll add a timestamp to the QVX file and we'll also store it to a different directory versus the default directory which we are obliged to use without changing. So I'm just going to store this to the QVX folder which we have set up. I can click on apply, and there is the name the QVX file will have, and it will also be appended with the timestamp because we've selected that option. I click OK, and our session is complete. Now we need to establish a workflow, so I can go into the workflow designer, and we're going to consume that session we've just set up, so I can drag that to the workflow, and I give the workflow a name, so this will be workflow for the employee QVX. On the scheduler, by default, it will run on demand, and we shall accept the default, click OK, and the workflow now is ready to run. It's been set up to run on demand, so I can select the workflow and start it within the workflow manager. I can save the information to the repository, and now I'm ready to start the workflow. If I jump into the monitoring tool, I can see the workflow has run through and the job has succeeded. So now we will have a QVX file ready for consumption by QlikView in the directory we told the output to write to. So here I can now see my QVX file, which I can now drag into QlikView. The file wizard has started up automatically, and here are the available columns in my QVX file. I can now click finish and it will jump me into the script layer, so I can save my application and I can overwrite my original QVW file, and now I can reload the data from the QVX file produced by the Informatica PowerCenter. And now I'm ready to start consuming the information produced from the Informatica QVX and QlikView integration product.